All right. If I can have your attention really quickly, we are about ready to kick off. My name is T.R. Harrington. I'm a partner at Orbit Startups, and I'd like to welcome all of you to Orbit 5 Demo Day. So we are super excited to welcome our latest batch of 9 startups coming to you from Mexico, Colombia, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Kenya, Bangladesh, and Thailand. And our founders have achieved some incredible results so far. To date, our startups accumulated more than 15 million in revenue, over $1 million in profits, and some are growing over 40% month on month, with over 3 founders with prior exits. Now, in terms of the agenda for today, we're going to have a short introduction from our gracious hosts at HSBC, and then Oscar Ramos, our general partner, will share a little bit about Orbit Startups ecosystem, and then we will finish right before we do the startups with our esteemed VC panel. So please help me welcome to the stage HSBC and Dallin Lee.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's event. I'm Dylan, a business manager from HSBC's Commercial Bank, and welcome to our office. Hopefully you have really nice view over here today. My role within the bank is to really look at how HSBC's value proposition for our clients and essentially answering the question on what can a leading international bank do more for the innovation ecosystem. I'm very proud to share that we have been working hard behind the scenes to identify various ways that we can do more for this particular innovation ecosystem. And since our last engagement with SOSV earlier this year in their last demo day in February, we have made enhancements on what HSBC can do to support this particular space. So earlier this year, our group has actually purchased Silicon Valley Bank in the UK, and we have now launched HSBC Innovation Bank to provide a much more holistic banking and financing solutions for startups in those regions. We now have launched innovation banking proposition in innovation hubs located in the US, in Hong Kong, in UK, where startups are able to get access to much more dynamic banking services and, more importantly, financing solutions in those regions. But what about in Singapore and the local ecosystem? We are definitely not falling behind. Since last year, we actually launched our very first New Economy Fund, a $200 million debt credit appetite to especially provide short-term revolving loans for startups to tap on. It essentially targets the working capital needs of the startups because we at HSBC strongly believes that equity should never be used or should not be used to finance your working capital requirements. It should really be used to finance your growth. And that's the reason why we have launched the New Economy Fund last year, and I'm proud to share that we have already deployed $140 million in Singapore for startups to tap on. Now, beyond that, this year we have made improvements. We are adding one more debt financing options for startups to tap on right here in this region, and that is venture debt. Venture debt is essentially a term committed facilities for startups to tap on. You can see it as a complement to any equity financing that you have raised today. It is seen as a growth capital to really help you accelerate your growth, essentially hoping to shorten the timeline that is required for you to reach where you want to be. Now, with these 2 debt financing options made available, we really hope that we can be seen as committed to this ecosystem, and more importantly, to allow startups to really focus on what you guys do best, and that is to continue to innovate and groom the businesses of tomorrow while really leaving behind all that banking and financing headaches over to us at HSBC. Now, of course, beyond the debt conversation, we at HSBC do have many other services beyond banking solutions that we can provide for startups, but that's a conversation for another day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dallin, and our gracious hosts from HSBC. This would not be possible without you, so we really thank you for hosting us today. With that, I would like to welcome our general partner, Oscar Ramos, to share a little bit more about Orbit Startups ecosystem.
Okay, first of all, Thank you very much, everybody, for coming today. It's a great pleasure to be back in Singapore after many years not being able to come here, and then welcoming more and more people to our demo days. And special thanks to HSBC, our host for the second time, and hopefully a great partner to be working together. So for those of you that are new to us, Orbit is a venture capital fund that is investing in emerging markets, scaling breakthrough technologies so we can support economic independence, we can reduce the climate impact, and we can support also the improvement of health. We're part of SSB, a global venture capital fund that manages $1.5 billion that is investing globally with an approach of investment that is based on the technology stack of the companies. So we have 3 brands under SSB. Orbit is the software arm, as I mentioned, mostly investing in emerging markets. Hacks is our hardware brand, and then IndieBio is our biotech brand. We're very global with offices all over the world, and hopefully next time when we are presenting again, we'll have new news for you with new operations all over the world. We are very active as an investor. Every year we make around 120 to 150 new investors. We're now the 3rd most active investor in the world. And as you can see, there are regions and areas that are very close to where we are, being the 3rd most active investor in Singapore, but also other parts of Asia where we're investing. And as you're seeing today, increasingly more and more coverage across Africa and more emerging markets. Here you have an example of all the portfolio companies that we've invested and all the locations. So as you can imagine, we don't sleep a lot. We have a lot of work to across hours, waking up very early, sometimes very late. But we enjoy and we're able to have this opportunity to be able to create more and more learning, cross learnings from companies from Asia, Africa, Latin America, Europe, etc. These are some of the areas where we are investing. As you can see, we cover everything. We like investing in digitizing traditional industries. You'll see logistics, you'll see retail, health, a lot of financial services. And we're also investing in infrastructure companies, AI, machine learning, blockchain. Those have been technologies that we've been investing across many, many years. And we also have a special approach investing in consumer startups. I'll talk more about that in a second. But this is our secret. Our secret is that although we are a venture capital fund, probably the most valuable thing that the startups get from us is all the mentorship, the coaching, and the support that we provide to them. After we're able to work with the companies, start building a good foundation, we start helping them to grow, helping them, making sure that they have more business. And after that, we help them prepare for events like today, where they're able to present what they're doing, what they've achieved to a group of investors, so they can fundraise and they can continue the growth of their company. In terms of investing, every startup that we invest will raise around from us an initial investment of 150 to 180K US dollars. We will follow on investing in all the companies as they keep growing and they raise more capital to support their growth. But the real secret is this. The real secret is the more than 500 mentors that work with our startups, the more than 40 people full-time that is supporting all of our portfolio companies, working with them very closely, with more than one checking with them on a weekly basis, and with a program that lasts forever. We keep working with our companies, Series B, Series C, even if they're already past the initial stage where we invest in a seed stage. We keep working with them, supporting their global expansion and creating more value for the whole ecosystem. In terms of growth, for enterprise companies, our secret is that we are engaged with over 250 multinationals in different models. We have 35 of them that invested in our fund, and together with them, we're able to identify opportunities, new trends, insights, and help our companies understand what these enterprises need, shorten the sales cycle, and be able to convert more opportunities into POCs, and those POCs into more long-term contracts. For consumer companies, that's really our secret. That's really one of the areas where we have something very unique. Across our portfolio company, today we have more than 200 million monthly active users. And we work on making sure that our companies can get more value from the users, cross-selling services from our portfolio companies. And if our companies want to get more users, instead of having to spend 40 to 50% of the venture capital that they raise in customer acquisition, they can simply work with our portfolio companies, creating a very strong ecosystem where founders are able to retain more equity and the capital goes to build better products, not just to fund more and more marketing. During the last 8 years, we've deployed $70 million in close to 200 portfolio companies, and those companies have gone to not only generate a lot of revenue, but also raise over $700 million in VC funding. This number is growing really fast, and with the hopefully acceleration in the last part of the year, we're hopefully going to be able to share some great announcements in the coming weeks. But proof is in the pudding, so let me share what has happened with some of the companies that they were part of these demo days in the past. In Southeast Asia, there's more than 400 motorcycles. Buying a new motorcycle is relatively easy, but the second-hand market is challenging because most of the dealers will have a limited selection. You will not be able to have a history of the motorbike. Sometimes you don't know if you can really trust that motorbike. There's no warranty. iMotorbike built one of the top marketplaces in Southeast Asia, where they control and have the quality of every single one of the motorbikes that they trade through the platform through a very rigorous checking process with 170 checking points. And then they're able to provide to the buyers access to capital and a trusted approach to do what they did. In June, the company closed a Series A led by Gobi Partners, and since then their growth has grown really fast with a double-digit growth, and last month they closed with close to $400,000 in sales. We're very excited to announce that they have now a partnership with Shell, and through that partnership they're able to create more offline touch points for all the prospective buyers in the Shell oil stations. Right now they have 3 operational, and they expect to launch 10 more before the end of the year, to be able to create more opportunities for trusted transactions in the second-hand marketplace. If you're interested in learning more about the company, unfortunately the founder is not here today, but let us know and we'll be happy to connect you with them and let you know about what the company is doing. MoneyClub. Cheat funds are a saving strategy very common in India and many emerging markets. Basically, a group of individuals together will pool capital. And then one leader will manage that pool of capital that will be accessible to each of the individuals. Depending on the urgency that they have to get access to that capital, they'll have to pay an additional fee. And that's how all the contributors to the pool are able to make money. This is very common, and it happens at a very small scale. Unfortunately, sometimes the pools are not managed in a very transparent way. Sometimes there are problems with payments or with repayments, and that creates a limitation. Still, is a very prevalent area across Asia, Africa, and Latin America with different names. What MoneyClub does is digitize cheat funds. And through this digitization, they are able to apply risk algorithms to reduce the risk, to reduce all the problems that exist with the cheat funds, able to grow them. So the cheat funds are bigger and whoever wants to borrow can get access to more capital. And then they're able to enable more and more value-added services to improve the whole experience. In the last year, they generated more than 2 million transactions, more than 100,000 saving groups together, and they're growing really fast. The company is now wrapping up a Series A. So if you're interested in financial services for low income, massive markets in emerging markets, come and ask us later. We'll let you know more about MoneyClub. And finally, our Singaporean company in the pitch today, BizBuzz. 80% of the people in emerging markets will have either like very limited to access to bank accounts or even no bank account. Without that, they are not able to create a credit score. And without that credit score, their access to financial services would be very limited. They will not be able to get access to loans and many other financial services. BizBuzz leverages alternative data to create a consumer profile that allows to evaluate that risk. Through that risk profile, the financial institutions that have used the BizBuzz credit score have been able to reduce non-performing loans up to 50%. The company is growing fast. They've already accumulated more than $4 million in revenue this year. They closed last year a Series A that was actually led by HSBC Asset Management, and they're now getting ready to raise their Series B. So if you're interested in slightly more later stage Singapore companies, let us know, and we'll be very happy to connect you with the founders and let you know more about the companies. We have, as I mentioned, close to 200 portfolio companies. We have probably something for every investor. We have 9 companies today, but we're happy to chat with you and find more opportunities that might be relevant for what you're looking for. And with that, I'm gonna hand over the microphone to TR so we can continue with the demo day. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much, Oscar. Now, while we prepare our VC panel, we're going to get some chairs set up for that. I'd like to call your attention, those of you in the room, to the QR codes. These are a little bit about Orbit and Orbit startups. And later on, we're going to put up some QR codes so you can follow along with the startups who are in the demo day, right? That way, as the startups present, at the end, you will have a chance to indicate, your interest for a follow-up. And of course, since you're in the room, you will also have a chance to go around and do some networking with the startups afterwards. For those of you who are joining us online, right, you will see a pop-up notification at the end of each presentation where, again, you can indicate your interest in a follow-up meeting with the startups. All right, it looks like all of the chairs have been assembled. Thank you so much for the team for your quick work on that. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Oscar and our esteemed VC panel to come and join us at the front for a fireside chat to give us some insights about what's happening in VC.
Okay, let's start with introductions, okay? You guys are gonna be able to introduce yourselves much better. So Albert, you don't mind?
Sure. Hi everyone, great to be here, and thanks Oscar and the Orbit team for having me. My name is Albert. I am a managing director at a European fund called Eurazeo. I'm based in Singapore. We are an investment company managing about 35 billion in AUM across a number of different funds, 2 of which are actively investing in Southeast Asia right now. So one is a smart cities fund, which is looking at climate change, EV, sustainability type themes, and the second is InsurTech fund, which is the one that I'm directly involved with. So I've been in VC for about 10 years in Southeast Asia, and yeah, looking forward to the panel ahead.
Thank you very much, Albert. Field?
Cool. So I'm Field Pickering. I set up Volpez Ventures, which is the venture arm inside of Volpez Investment Management, which is an alternative investment group based here in Singapore. And we saw an opportunity in the early part of COVID, March, April 2020, when venture investors were trying to figure out what impact COVID was going to have on their business, and people weren't investing. We raised a little bit of money and started actively investing, and I've continued to do that. And we've invested across 2 funds, early stage, Southeast Asia and Australia, soon moving on to our 3rd fund.
And what are the topics that you're interested in investing? What are your key areas of interest?
Well, funny you should ask. So we've been talking to investors over the last 6 months or so about what comes next. The first fund obviously had a specific opportunity for us to invest during COVID. Either COVID's going to kill us all, or it's going to be early 2020 is going to prove to be a good time to have been investing. Our second fund was really just a continuation of that as we worked ourselves out of the pandemic. And then talking to the investor market now, it seems that the venture capital ecosystem is oversupplied with venture capitalists. So they want to see something different. We have always invested in our portfolio in over 20% female-backed companies. And when you look at those companies, they actually outperform the rest of the portfolio. So we are now focusing on gender diverse leadership teams, and that's going to be the theme for our next fund.
Good. Thank you, Phil. Shannon, thank you very much for coming today. Fun story. I gave Shannon the wrong date, and luckily she was able to make it today.
Hi everyone, I'm Shannon. I'm from MDI. So our HQ is in Indonesia, but I'm based here in Singapore. We started in 2016 as part of as the CVC for Telcom, generalist fund, and that fund was anchored by Telcom for 100 million. It was a balance sheet fund. Since expanded, today we have about 850 million in funds under management across all the way from, we have an angel group all the way to pre-IPO. So we are full lifecycle investors. Depending on which fund we deploy out of, it might be a synergy fund, but it might also be a generalist fund. Continue to build out the platform, most recently, we started to help launch thematic funds for other corporates, mostly from Indonesia. So we have telco fund, we have energy and climate fund coming up. We also have an agri and biotech fund coming up. Yeah.
Thank you, Shannon. Maybe you have the microphone. We can start from you. So this year has been a year that, well, let's say, talking about interest in venture capital has been complicated because there's been really like the lowest level of activity in terms of investment. Still, a few companies have been able to raise, and there's some sectors that have been performing in terms of activity much better. So for MDI Ventures, for Centauri Fund, for you, Shannon, what are the areas that you're most excited about? What are the industries that right now you are really spending time exploring opportunities?
Okay, yes, quite a few questions in there. So yeah, so I spent most of my time on Centauri, which is the Series A/B fund. When we started that fund, actually, it was supposed to be more Southeast Asia, but then COVID came, so we shifted gears a bit, and we were kind of like, okay, let's invest a little bit more into Indonesia. So would say 60-70% of the fund is deployed into Indonesia. We have slowed down quite significantly. I wouldn't say just in the last 1-2 years, but actually 3 years. But we see things kind of starting to pick up. I think part of the advantage of being full life cycle is that we can see activity across different funding stages. With the angel syndicate, angel group, we see an uptick, not just in terms of the deal flow that we see, but also deals that are actually getting invested into. So we expect that, you will start to see some of that trickle down into the later stages. In terms of what we are excited about, I think a lot of people know that we have been investing a lot into agri, aqua, forestry. And this was something that people were not investing in prior to COVID. So I think there has been a shift in the verticals that people invest into. We see a lot of existing traditional businesses thinking about new ways to new approach to their business. In the last 1 year, one space that we've seen a lot of companies in has been in waste management and recycling. I think Orbit has invested into Octopus. Our angel group is also in the midst of closing a deal in the space. On the fund side, we're still thinking about our thesis in the space and where exactly in the value chain we want to invest into. I think prior to COVID, the approach was that you invest into a company early, raises a lot of funding, and then it hits the full stack. So it just moves upstream and downstream. But given how things are slower today, then I think we have to be a lot more considerate on our approach when we're investing. Another space that, actually I've been going on for a while, but yeah, so another space would be EV and battery continues to be super hot. So this is something that's been quite hot, not just in Southeast Asia, right? But I'm trying to speak a little bit quicker, not just in Southeast Asia, but globally. I think this has been, and I think we need to be recognized that just because something has worked in, say, a Western country doesn't mean it will necessarily work here. Also, because different jurisdictions have different regulations. So, that's one consideration. Another consideration, I think, in this space is that the timelines to exit might be very different from what traditional tech investors are used to. So that's one consideration on whether you even want to be in the space. One way we manage this is by launching those thematic funds, which have LP base and a mandate that is comfortable with that extended exit timeline.
Thank you. So Phil, what area, you mentioned that you're very excited about gender diversity in terms of funders, but is there any particular industry or area beyond that is now where you're spending time evaluating companies?
No, we tend to be pretty sector agnostic. I think our focus is Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and I don't think any one of those markets is deep enough to focus on any one country or any one sector. So we're looking for great founding teams that are growing scalable businesses that are priced reasonably, and we tend to go early stage. About 72% of our 44 companies are at the pre-Series A level.
Okay, so mostly looking at early stage, almost anything that could be interesting. What areas are you in your portfolio? Is there any particular area where you're seeing more activity right now? Like sometimes it's not so much about what you look for, but then you look back and say, well, I realized that I the same way that you mentioned, like female founded startups, they've been performing better. So is there, of your 42 portfolio companies, is there any concentration, any area where you have more companies?
Yeah, and again, this is sort of accidental, but we have about 30% of our companies related to the F&B industry in one way or another, whether it's cloud kitchen or like wholesale aggregation, commercial fishing marketplace in Australia, reservation system. So for some reason, and obviously the pandemic wasn't great for this industry, so maybe there was a kind of a rush towards the end of COVID and beyond. But we tend to do a lot in the F&B innovation companies that are innovating, bringing greater efficiencies to the whole F&B supply chain.
Yeah, definitely. If I think about Southeast Asia, food comes always as a very, very interesting and very exciting aspect to it. Okay, Albert, what about Erasio? What are you spending time?
Yeah, sure. So I think we're actually taking a slightly different approach at the moment in Southeast Asia, where both of our funds are pretty, I would say, somewhat more sector specific. Actually, I know that my colleague Ernest is sitting in the back there from Smart Cities, and so that fund is more around thematics around climate change, sustainability, EV, autonomous driving, things of that nature. The fund that I'm focusing right now is much more heavily looking at insurtech. And so we've been quite deeply looking in and around that sector in Southeast Asia and India. Emerging markets is our main focus.
Anything particularly in insurtech that has been more that you think there's more opportunity, some like sub vertical maybe inside the insurtech space where you're bullish in terms of the opportunities?
Sure. So yeah, we've actually made a couple of investments already and are actually closing another one this week in this region. But I would say, like, I think historically distribution has really been the biggest kind of, I guess, low hanging fruit, right? So whether that's through agents or whether that's embedded through like e-commerce platforms or otherwise, just really being able to offer more insurance products to customers here, oftentimes for the first time, has been just kind of the easiest approach, and that's like relatively basic, like a motor insurance product or a health insurance product. I think, but I think there the innovation or the value is really around being able to do a better matching between what's being offered and what customers can afford and what they're looking for, and being able to offer much easier and much more cost-effective access to those plans. So I think that's where we've been primarily focusing. But I think once you start to go a bit, once the market starts to mature a little bit more, then you can obviously start looking at more innovative products. You can start looking at maybe underwriting. So there's a kind of a lot more depth that you can go into. But it's I think in a relatively underpenetrated market like insurance, it's kind of very step by step.
And it's very interesting because I mean, in the last month, I spent time across many countries, and these type of panels about what are you interested in investing in? They became a bit boring because everybody was always saying AI everything was always AI. So it's very refreshing that we're able to talk about something else, that it's not just AI. No, and I like how it's all about all of these industries where across this region there's a huge opportunity for improvement, and you don't necessarily need like the latest technology, but you need to make sure that technology drives value.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think to the theme of Orbit in terms of focusing on emerging markets, I think that's still where most of the opportunity lies, right? I mean, we've seen that in Southeast Asia as well over the past 10 years. That obviously having access to some of the more cutting edge trends and technologies can be nice in certain instances, but I think by and large, like the majority of the value has been through just good execution, finding good openings in the market and being able to kind of identify the right teams to be able to execute on that.
Okay.
I might add. Yeah, so actually prior to COVID, we invested into quite a lot of AI companies, which all came back to life with the recent trend. But I think we're beginning to see that when someone says, I mean, when someone calls themselves an AI company, is it more of a feature rather than like really truly an AI company? It's just like when everyone first started going online. And you have e-commerce companies also being called tech companies just because they had a website. I think it's going to be the same for AI, where a lot of companies are going to have AI and they're just like standard processes, but that doesn't mean they are AI companies. So we need to make that distinction. Yeah.
Yep. Well, just to wrap up, try to make things more tangible. No, it would be great if you can like select one of your companies, like one of the companies that you're particularly excited, maybe one of the companies that reflects on these trends that you share, and explain to like the audience what does the company do and why you were excited particularly about that company. I mean, like your thesis behind the investment.
Yeah, since I have the mic. So actually, there's only one company that I should say right now because they just IPO'd last week on Nasdaq. WeBuy. So social commerce company. A lot of people had said in the last, I think, 1-2 years, social commerce does not work. Part of the reason I feel, it's because they invest into a lot of social commerce companies that end up shutting down. But I think like just because you invest into something that shut down in a space doesn't mean that the entire space does not work. One thing that I thought was very fortunate for WeBuy was actually that they were not able to fundraise so easily because everyone else was shutting down. So that forced them to really think about the operations and managing the company, and they cut burn dramatically. They ended up seeing cash flow positive months, but they still continued to grow. And given that a lot of their competitors shut down, then they managed to acquire all their customers.
Yeah, sticking with the F&B theme, there's a company in Australia, and we invested very early on called Monetta's Seafood. And the first business plan or strategy was an e-commerce business for the seafood industry. Super founder. Obviously, Australians like to eat a lot of seafood, but we did question how scalable it could be, how big he could get an e-commerce platform for seafood to be. And we pushed him to think bigger. And today, he controls over 50% of the seafood market in Australia, and he's created a platform so that commercial fishermen, as they're coming to shore with their catch, can open up the app, and if they want, they can sell it right through there, and they find the buyers, they do the cold storage. The company's grown so big that they've actually raised money, which the company manages, to buy species licenses, which they lease back to the fishermen, so long as the fishermen put the catch on the platform. So this was, the guy knew that the seafood market in Australia, which is the second largest globally, was ripe for disruption. And the point at which he started is not the point at which he continues, but it at least gave him a start. So it just shows that if you back the right founders and you back them early, there's a lot that they can do if they find that their right niche.
So a huge opportunity, in very traditional industries where the inefficiency and especially when you have like this small, very fragmented type of market, just pulling together resources and create access to more opportunities, it creates value for everybody in the new value chain, especially for consumers and then also like the suppliers in this case. No, very interesting case.
Yeah, I mean, just to finish up on that, like, so fresh seafood actually is about 14 days old by the time it gets to your table. And if you eat fish from the Monetta's platform, which 50% does come from that platform in Australia, you can actually, through the blockchain, find out what boat and where the fish was caught, which is kind of interesting.
I'm always impressed about the amount of things that you can learn in a pitch from a startup about many things in any industry. Albert.
Yeah, so I guess I can talk about the first company that we invested in from the fund, which is also an MDI portfolio company called Koala in Indonesia. I think going maybe back to the theme that Field also said around the founders' adaptability. I think this is a company that currently helps manage around 40 to 50,000 individual agents in Indonesia and in Thailand, which enable them to sell insurance policies. But they started off as a micro insurance providers. So they would sell things like movie ticket insurance if you missed your movie because of the traffic in Indonesia. And I think during COVID they kind of realized that this product was while innovative, was not really very scalable in the sense that you'd have to sell literally millions and millions of these policies in order to get any real scale. And so they pivoted their model to then focusing on agents selling more traditional types of insurance like car insurance, health insurance. No, they still do some of the embedded stuff as well, but I think it kind of reflects that the market in emerging countries like Indonesia is still very early, right? And you need to build a model that works within the infrastructure constraints. And secondly, that you have to keep thinking about how to, I guess, adapt your business model to wherever I think you can find growth and you can find the right level of I guess profits from the market as well.
Cool. Well, I think this is very, very interesting. Like final takeaways from the sharing, like starting from here. I mean, the idea of like knowing that that you know where you start, you don't know where you're gonna end, and you need to be open to explore opportunities and learn from what you're seeing and adapting. Quite critical. Like don't discard like very traditional industries, because there may be massive opportunities there if you're able to create the right tools. And then, well, this is something that as VCs that we provide capital to companies might be weird, no? But in this case, like, seems that having limited access to capital was critical for the success of that company. So with that, we're gonna wrap up the panel and then move on to the presentations. But before we do that, please, big applause for our panelists today for sharing and for coming here. Thank you, guys.
Okay, it's finally the time, right? So without further ado, first, for those of you in the room, to follow on what's happening with each of the different startups, please scan the QR code, right? This will allow you to see each one of the different startups as they come up, right? And be able to, again, indicate your relative interest. And just a reminder for those of us online who are following, at the end of each presentation, you'll get a notification that allows you to indicate your relative interest in following up with our startups. So with that, I would like to begin by welcoming our first startup for Orbit 5 Demo Day. Please put your hands together and help me welcome Omra Companions.
Hi there, everyone. I'd actually like you guys to meet Ali. Ali is 35 years old and he lives in Karachi, Pakistan. Ali is a Muslim and he also works today as a project manager and earns $10,000 per year. Now, like most Muslims, Ali wants to fulfill his religious commitment and his family's lifelong dream of visiting Mecca, Saudi Arabia to perform the Umrah pilgrimage. Umrah is a spiritual journey that Muslims take to Mecca, Saudi Arabia to visit the house of God, the Kaaba. So to start planning his journey, Ali starts to plan it by himself. And he goes online to platforms like Booking.com and Airbnb and looks at rates from Careem and taxis to create a general budget for himself. However, the prices he's seen online are all over the place. And for a prominent hotel, as an example, he actually went to the first platform and it quoted him $330 per night. The same exact hotel was available on two other platforms for $297 and $200 respectively. Now, regardless, whichever platform he goes with, it's going to cost him a minimum of $2,600 per person for the 21 days trip that he is planning. Now, Ali is very overwhelmed because of the cost and the variability of the pricing. So he goes to his community and asks for referrals from traditional travel agents. Now, this is, to his surprise, he was actually told a lot of horror stories. One of his friends actually told him that a travel agent ran away with all of his money. And another one of his friends had told him that he booked a 5-star hotel, but when he arrived in Mecca, he was given a 3-star hotel instead, but still had to pay the same price. Another friend warns him that travel agents may tell you your visa was rejected just so that they can charge you a second time for the reapplication fee. So we're Umrah Companions. We are the trusted companions for the pilgrims, and we take care of the entire planning, travel and post-travel processes, including suggesting flights, hotels and transfer bookings, local guidance, and e-visa issuance. So let me show you guys how it works. The religious leader at Ali's local mosque, known as an imam, has referred Ali to Umrah Companions. Now, Ali actually comes to the Umrah Companions web app and is able to sign up in one easy step. As Ali signs up, he is immediately given access into the platform and can log in right away. Once he logs in, he gets to decide, does he need a flight package or does he want a land package? Once he makes his decision, he goes down and browses through the available packages, and he clicks the package that makes sense for him and reviews the itinerary. He is then able to select the date that he would like to travel on. And after that, he goes towards inputting the traveler's information in order to process his e-visa online. After this, he goes to the payment processing page. Now, Umrah Companions typically earns a 20% commission in fees per passenger, depending on the services offered. In this case, Ali has been given a package end-to-end exactly what he needs for $2,150, a cost saving of 20% compared to his budget. Now, because 50% of the total package cost is his flight, Umrah Companions assures him right away by immediately issuing his flight confirmation number upon the receipt of his payment. He can check this confirmation number on the airline's website immediately to make sure that everything is a-okay. So this is where the fun part starts happening. So a week before Ali starts his embarking on his trip, the companionship starts, and we create a private WhatsApp group managed by Umrah Companions team. And in this team, the Umrah Companions ground support team is also available, giving him a 24/7 support before, during, and after his stay. This WhatsApp group is essentially his personal concierge service. Now, 2 days before Ali departs from his home country towards Saudi Arabia, the Umrah Companions ground team goes to the hotels and makes sure that everything is in order and he gets what he is promised. And the day that Ali arrives, the Umrah Companions team is ready to welcome him and his family either at the airport or at the hotel. So now Ali can visit Saudi Arabia and fulfill his religious commitments and his lifelong dream of performing the Umrah pilgrimage. So let's talk about the market size. The total available market today for Hajj and Umrah is $80 billion US. And that's just this season. Today, 80% of the total market is driven through transactions from traditional travel agents. And they serve over 20 million passengers per year. Now, under Saudi Vision 2030, they're putting a huge push towards tourism, and they expect this sector to grow 30% year over year, and to hit a target of $250 billion US by the year 2030. Now, during COVID, actually post-COVID, the Ministry of Tourism has introduced regulatory changes in order to bring more B2C customers in this market. They have a goal to achieve 100 million passengers annually by the year 2030. So let me introduce you to the team who had made this vision a reality. Our CEO and co-founder is sitting over there, Mr. Mohammed Salman Arain. He initially started his career as the director of IT management and risk management at Intercontinental Hotels Group in America. And then later on, he joined Transcontinental Media Group, where he was the director of shared services. Due to his role, he was able to uplift the operations in that company and drive their revenue from $1.8 billion to $2.2 billion. As for myself, my name is Saad Ali. I am the CMO and co-founder of Umrah Companions. And I started my career at 15 years old, working in a hotel in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. And as part of the core operations group of this hotel, I was in charge of ensuring that our occupancy stayed high and our average daily rate was maintained. And then later on in my career, I actually joined as an early employee with a startup company in Canada called Joeyco. It's a last mile logistics company. And I ran operations over there, and we had to ensure that packages were delivered for corporations like Walmart and Amazon to their customers every single week. We grew that company from $4 million in revenue to $30 million in revenue within a year. Now, let's talk about the landscape. So today we actually operate as an online to an offline operation with both a digital presence and an on-ground support to create a complete end-to-end solution for our customers. We also have very strategic distribution in our key markets. And through multilateral partnerships that we have established in order to drive our customer acquisition costs down. So one of the things that, one of the partnerships I would like to talk to you guys about is Zindagi. Zindagi is a Pakistani banking super app with over 5 million users in 622 physical locations and has given Umrah companions exclusive access to promote it across all their users and their physical locations. We've also been appointed by the Saudi Tourism Authority to be their trade partner and promote Saudi tourism as the next destination of the world. Now, today we already have 40,000 monthly active users logging into our website and browsing through our available packages. And because of this, we actually were able to attract over 18,500 global travel agents that we have onboarded on our platform. Now, because of all of this amazing traction, in the last 1 year, we were able to actually generate 14 million US dollars in revenue. After we made actually a 17% gross profit margin on that. Now, this year, we're actually on track to hit $1.3 million in net profit.
All right, thank you so much, Umrah. All right, for those of you in the room, again, please look at the QR code. For those of you online, you should see a notification pop up to indicate your relative interest. All right. Thank you so much again, Umrah. All right, please put your hands together and help me welcome our second startup for Orbit 5 Demo Day, MedEasy.
Hi everyone. Meet Farah from Dhaka in Bangladesh. She's a mother of 2, and she also takes care of her father who is chronically ill and takes 7 different medications every day. And every month, she has to be sure that he has the medicine he needs. So she gets to her local pharmacy to get the medication. And they are out of stock of that medication. And she has to spend the whole afternoon going to 3-4 different pharmacies just for that medication. And after she gets it, it is marked up by 10% because of scarcity. And even after that, she's not sure if it's real because of all the news of fake medicine in the news. Over 95% of Bangladesh's retail pharmacy is small local mom and pop shops. They don't have proper supply chains and they are not regularly stocked. Please, yeah. So, and most of them are actually unregulated and they don't even have proper licenses. So there's a chance to get fake medicine from them. And the price of the same medicine actually widely varies between shops. So introducing MedEasy, Bangladesh's leading online pharmacy committed to delivering genuine medicine directly to the patient's doorstep. We sign contracts and work directly with the manufacturers to ensure genuine medicine. Our in-house pharmacists make sure every medicine is authentic before it leaves our warehouse. Our decentralized warehouses make sure that we can deliver within 24 hours. And our proprietary inventory management system make sure that we have a good amount of stock for each of the 20,000 plus SKUs we serve. So this is how it works. Farah logs into the MedEasy platform with a phone number. She uploads the prescription of her father, or she can also choose the medication she needs every month. Then she can buy for once, or she can also opt in for a monthly refill. She can pay through online or cash on delivery. Once confirmed, our certified pharmacist calls Farah to ensure if there is any special instruction of the medication or if there is any question. Also, she verifies that the medicine is authentic before it leaves our warehouse. Once confirmed, the order is packed securely. And our dedicated delivery team makes sure that Farah gets her medicine order within 12 to 24 hours. Now Farah is confident that she is getting authentic medicine for her father at a fair price. And we always maintain good stock level for each medicine. And we can do this because of our proprietary inventory management algorithm that actually forecasts the demand for each of these 20,000 medication every day and ensures that each of our decentralized warehouses are supplied with good amount of stock that the local patients around that warehouse needs. and we make 17% of each transaction. Bangladesh is home to 30 million chronic disease patients who take regular medication for life. They spend on average $33 on medication per month. And with half of these patients or their caregivers owning smartphone, this is a potentially $1.5 billion digital pharmacy market. And this digital pharmacy market is doubling each year. There are a number of players in the online pharmacy space, but Medizi uses its decentralized warehouses to deliver medicine 4 times faster compared to our competition. And our proprietary inventory management algorithm help us get 96% fulfillment rate of prescription. That is almost double than our competition. And we can do this with 75% less inventory. And on top of that, we can maintain competitive prices. I am Arifin, the CEO of Medizi. I was a machine learning engineer that led a team of engineers to build the first Bangla speech recognition software in Bangladesh that was more accurate than Google. My co-founder and CTO, Nazmul, has 11 years of experience as a software engineer with building scalable solutions. He built a social media chatbot that was used by 20 million users of Grameenphone, the largest telco in Bangladesh. Our chief healthcare officer, Dr. Ghulam Muqtadir, is a renowned surgeon in Bangladesh, and he led a team, a nonprofit organization of 50,000 plus doctors that work towards improving the public healthcare system of Bangladesh. Our VP operations, Mamun, is a finance MBA and has worked for bKash, the fintech unicorn in Bangladesh, where he onboarded 100 plus B2B clients for them. Our customers are spending $35 on our platform, which is higher than the average spending by chronic disease patients. And this number goes up as they use our platform month over month. Our last month's revenue was $170,000, which makes it $2 million in annualized revenue. And we're still growing on average 18% month on month.
All right, thank you so much, Medizi. For those of you online, please take a moment to respond to the notification to indicate your relative interest in Medizi. And while you are doing so, our next startup is getting ready to join the stage. So, for the next startup from Orbit 5's Demo Day, please help me welcome Be Quick.
Let me introduce you to Maria. She's 37 years old, and she's the owner of a small business that it is focused on selling products to events like weddings, birthdays, and corporate events. She lives in Cancun, a popular tourism destination with a lot of hotels, like many other tourism cities around the world. She wants to sell her products to these hotels because she knows that landing just one contract could totally change their business fate forever. So to achieve this, she needs to have a meeting with the right person at the right time. And she started knocking doors and asking for warm intros. She started spending thousands of dollars attending hospitality conference just to have one opportunity. When finally one hotel buyer is willing to buy her products, she has to go through a 45 days verification business process just to start selling their products to this industry. And after all that time and all that effort, all that thousands of dollars spending, she realized that the hotels won't pay her until 90 days after she delivered her goods. That's the business model of this industry. So Maria doesn't have enough money because it's a small business to fulfill this kind of purchase orders. And she misses out the opportunity to sell to this industry, but more important, she loses the opportunity to change her business fate forever. On the other hand, 80% of hotel purchases have a low average value, and hotels need to buy for different suppliers, including SMBs. But hotels need suppliers that fit on the payment terms, the quality, the price, and the delivery time. As SMBs are unfamiliar with the procurement process of this industry, hotels are pushing to work with middlemen that mark up the price 50% and provide a poor service if the purchase order have a low average value. So 80% of hotel purchases are disconnected with the 98% of companies that are small and medium size of companies. So the complex process of procurement in this industry, the strict payment terms, and the lack of a place where demand and supply can see each other is the reason why we create BeQuick, to help SMBs to sell their products to the hotels. We create a marketplace where hotels publish what they need and suppliers can see in real time what are the needs of the hotels. And we make sure that they will get paid after delivery, giving them the opportunity to grow, scale, and change their business fate forever. Let me tell you how it works. Maria goes through bequick.com platform. She logs in as a supplier and set up a business profile. Then she uploads her product catalog, and then she can start searching for specific opportunities based on product type and pricing. When she finds an opportunity, she, with just one click, can send a quote, start conversations, and ask for a meeting for showcase her products. If a hotel buyer accepts the quote, she can start the fulfillment process immediately. And when an order is placed, Maria can handle contract, issue invoices, and handle payments with instant cash options available post-delivery. Meaning, Maria can get paid immediately, and bequick takes the 12% of each transaction. In Mexico alone, the market opportunity for us is $10 billion, and it is growing at 8% annually. And when we expand all across Latin America, we will unlock a $40 billion opportunity for bequick. We connect SMBs with hotels and digitalize the procurement process. We make it easy for SMBs to sell their products to the hotels, and we make sure that they will get paid after delivery. My name is Rodrigo. I'm the CEO of bequick, and 10 years ago, I built my first company. It was a honey and candy factory that only serves the hotel industry. My co-founder, Raul, is the CTO, and he's an exceptional software developer with extensive experience in software developer in mobile apps for Latin America. We are both from Cancun, where tourism is the 90% of the GDP, and we grew up helping our business families that was also focused on the hospitality. So we deeply understand how inefficient is the procurement industry and where it has to be fixed. Today, we're working with 180 suppliers. We have exceptional brands on board in our platform, brands like Fairmont, Xcaret, Hyatt, and so on. And today, we have 60 hotels active users, growing at 20%, but without marketing efforts, a great signal of product market fit. This generates us today $150,000 in monthly GMV and growing at 20% month on month.
All right. Thank you so much. bequick. For those of you who may have joined the room a little bit later, please, we ask you to take a look on the QR codes so you can follow along with the startups, help keep you up to date with some of the startups you've just seen, as well as some of those who may have come before you entered the room. And those of you online, as usual, please indicate with the notifications that pop up your relative interest in a follow-up meeting with one of our startups. Okay, with that, I'd like to move to the next startup. Without further ado, please help me welcome the next Orbit 5 Demo Day startup, Sage Health.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to Vanessa. She's the sales lead for an Asia-Pacific pharma company that has a $200 billion market cap. She's in charge of the go-to-market strategy for new products that treats breast cancer. And Thailand is a really important market for her company because Southeast Asia is one of the fastest growing healthcare markets in the world at over 10% annual growth rate. So how does she begin? She does the traditional route. She goes and buys market research reports. And this is just aggregated findings from internet scrapings and user interviews. Unfortunately, some of these are out of date, and these do not give her the actionable data that she requires. So the next thing she does is she has her sales team on the ground go and speak directly with medical distributors, visit medical clinics, and even attend medical conferences just to learn how the science is changing and what the outcomes are. This whole process takes them 6 months. They only get 10% of coverage within the market. So at this point, they've spent $50,000 on staff hours and $50,000 on reports, and they still are unable to find the insights they require. Sorry, next. Next. If they're unable to make the appropriate strategy, they risk lagging behind their competition by 1 to 3 years. Next. We are Sage Health. With us, next, we provide real-time primary data for healthcare companies looking to enter emerging markets. Let me tell you how it works. We partner with hospitals as well as governments. We anonymize their data so that it can be legally commercialized as well as analyzed. So when Vanessa logs into our website, she's able to choose the disease of interest, the target geography, and even the patient subtype. After that, she's presented with a dashboard. Here, she can choose any variable that suits her needs. Specifically, she's able to zoom in and understand an opportunity, seeing how their competition is operating. It even tells her more targeted opportunities about what the patients need and don't need. And lastly, she's able to see on a zip code by zip code area, specifically where their competitors have a treatment that they're able to outcompete, specifically here in this example in North Thailand. The only other, with this, they've spent, sorry, next. Traditionally, they spend $100,000 every 6 months, but with Sage Health, they're able to spend $36,000 to get active updates per year. And with this, the only other decision to make is which of our 3 plans they'd like to choose. The global health data market has a huge gap, and Sage Health is set to fill it. Every typical pharma company has to do this same process 25 times per year per country. So if you do the math, there's 15,000 products on average into 12 countries that make up ASEAN, and they spend $100,000 a year to gather market research insights, which gives you a bottom-up calculation of 18 billion as a TAM. Sage Health is the only player in emerging markets that provides real-time primary data for healthcare companies. So my name is Doug, I'm the CEO. I've spent 13 years in the health industry, and I've built a 9-figure medical supply company. And I work very closely with governments as well as intra-governmental organizations. We're quite lucky to have Shannon Kalyanamit, who amongst many of her successes, has worked very closely with government contracts across all of Southeast Asia. And last but certainly not least, we have Charoz Khan, who had an 8-figure exit in biotech, but more specifically, he built in 3 months a product, a data insights system that in 3 months was able to go from 0 to $12 million in revenue. So we believe with our team, our expertise, and our ability to execute, we're poised to capture this opportunity. Our traction to date is significant. We already have MOUs signed for 15 million medical records in Southeast Asia. Governments are supporting and showing interest in what we're doing. We already have a sandbox policy with the Thai government so that we can both collaborate on data privacy and data processing. We've completed already a proof of concept with AstraZeneca, and we're currently in negotiations to broaden this. We are hopefully in the next week closing our first revenue with a market research company that needs our data. They have an inbound request of more than 7,000 reports annually. This puts us on track to have $500,000 in ARR starting next year. And last but not least, we have unfair access to the China market and all of their pharma companies and med device that are looking to go overseas. We have over 7,000 companies that I met with last month in Beijing that are looking to go into emerging markets. I'm personally speaking with 10 of these organizations a week, as I'm the only founder that speaks Mandarin. So as you can see, yes, that's worth a giggle. As you can see, we have a significant market opportunity. There's a lot of traction within 6 months of operating, and we're just getting started.
Thank you so much, Sage Health. Again, if any of you joined the room recently, and if you've not done so already, please scan the QR code so you can follow on with the startups. For those of you online, please indicate your relative interest to the pop-up for a follow-up meeting with Sage Health. Okay. For our next startup, well, there we go. For our next startup, please help me welcome WeGo.
Hello, everybody. So meet Aisha. She's a 30-year-old project manager living in Casablanca, Morocco. And despite living in such a modern city, she struggles every day with public transportation, that it's unreliable, expensive, and unpredictable. In Africa, transportation system is broken, and it's very hard to move around. So even commuting is really essential. The schedules are not really met by the transport operators, so they rarely respect their schedules. And there is no way to purchase or buy your ticket online, so you need to go yourself to wait in queue, have cash on you, then pay for the tickets. And if the bus comes full, you need to wait for the next bus coming. So if the bus doesn't come on time, you'll need to take a taxi. So a bus costs 50 cents for one ride, and a taxi costs 4 times this, which is $2. And in rush hours, taxis themselves are not available, so people need to use ride-hailing services that can cost up to $4 for the same distance. So Aisha is very stressed because she arrives late to work every day, and she misses always her personal appointments. So that's why we built WeGo. So WeGo is an aggregator for all transportation in one single app. So we make people have on one single app to plan, book, and pay for both public and private transportation, the whole in one single platform. So let me show you how it works. So Aisha downloads the app, then logs in using her phone number or her email. And then she will put her destination, and WeGo will suggest the best routes with all transportation that she needs to take, and with real-time arrivals of each one. Once she selects her preferred transport method, she needs to select later her payment method. She can pay in 3 methods. So we have cash, we have debit card, and she can link her app with her favorite fintech app. So WeGo take 20% of each ticket that we sold directly on our app, or for $12 a month, she can subscribe to this mobility app, mobility card, and she can have discounted prices for all the tickets that she will need. So Africa is growing very fast. We are close to have 1 billion people by 2040. 400 million people are using daily public transportation, and it's growing to reach 500 million in 2030. And it's an $8 billion market. We want to capture 25% of it in the next 5 years. As you might know, the most common aggregators in Africa are focused in intercity buses. There is no one really focusing on daily urban buses. But we have, as you can see, ride-hailing apps that are used, but they only focus on ride-hailing. There is no public transportation in it. And in Europe and USA, we have Citymapper and Move.it that are established, but they rely heavily on open data, which is not available in Africa. So that's why WeGo is really relevant, because we are the unique platform who enables to aggregate everything in one single app. So we map ourselves the cities in Africa, and we share the information in real time for all transportation available, including the informal transportation that we make available to our users. And we help them book and pay on all these type of transportation, such as buses, trains, metros, taxis, but also ride-hailing apps. So for the team behind WeGo, there is myself. I'm Saad. I'm the CEO and founder of WeGo. And before starting WeGo, I successfully started and sold my previous company, which is Picala Bikes. It's a bike sharing service. It's the largest bike sharing service in Morocco. And with my co-founder, Moore, who built an agro market in Dakar and helping farmers selling their products across Senegal. So for now, we are in 6 major cities. We tripled our recurrent revenue in the last 6 months. And we have now 10,000 monthly active users as September 2023. And we signed valuable deals with a lot of transportation operators in Morocco and in Senegal.
So, okay. If we are ready, I'd like to welcome the next startup to the stage for Orbit 5 Demo Day. Please help me welcome Fashel.
Thank you, dear. Hi, everyone. Meet Abdul. Abdul is a hardworking farmer, and he grows mangoes in a rural plot in Bangladesh. He has a family of 6, and they all work together on the farm. He is earning $170 a month, barely being able to support themselves. Every day, Abdul walks 2 kilometers to his nearby market to sell his mangoes. And he has only few options to sell the mangoes to these village markets, and has to take their lower prices. If Abdul cannot sell his mangoes on the same day, he takes the product to his house and bring back the next day and has to sell those same products 15% lower prices. And even then, sometimes Abdul cannot sell all of his produces. Abdul knows when his mangoes reaches to the consumer, it goes through 5 to 7 layers of middlemen. And each of them takes a big cut. And along the way, each of these steps, some mangoes gets rotten. In fact, in Bangladesh, over 30% of food goes wastage because of these inefficiencies in supply chain. Finally, Abdul's mangoes reaches to the consumer. And after paying each of these middlemen and accounting for the rotten mangoes, the consumer pays the double than what Abdul was paid. We are Fashel. We are a digitized end-to-end supply chain, fresh food supply chain company in Bangladesh. We connect, we buy directly from farmers and we distribute among the retailers, restaurants, and wholesale markets. By digitizing the whole end-to-end supply chain, we save everyone from price volatility. Farmers put trust in us for our localized and transparent procurement. Buyers get the benefit of short-step delivery, and our consumers and everyone gets the assurance of fair pricing, and our consumers and also our farmers earn more than 10% through our Fashel platform. And our consumers gets fresh and hygienic product and also at a very competitive market price. Let me show you how it works. So we onboard our farmers first through some community engagement. So there's an eKYC process that our farmers go through, and within 10 minutes, they can get onboarded into our platform. And after that, one of our representatives goes to the farmer's holding and re-verify that what he is doing. Through this two-step process, our farmers are onboarded. After the verification, now our farmers' cost data are into our platform, and they can add their products into our platform. Every day at 6 a.m. in the morning, our forecasting tool gives us a forecast of which product and from which farmer we need to purchase the products from. Based on that, we text and call our farmers and ask them to bring their product to one of our Fashel Farmer Center. And after they bring the products to our Fashel Farmer Center, we weight the product in front of the farmer for a transparent process. We create a purchase invoice for the farmers, and we pay them instantly of the fair price that we have committed. So it's a very transparent and easy process for the farmers. After that, our logistics team send a pickup truck to one of our Fashel Farmer Center, and from there, it comes to one of our distribution center within 12 hours. There, first we receive the product. We can also see which are the product that is left yesterday, and we can manage the inventory. We can manage the damage rate. We can also see if there's any product that needs to be returned. And our system also gives us the sorting instruction, like if there's 10 kilograms of packages, how many packages we need to make for which SKUs. So we get all these things automated. After that, our product goes for the last mile delivery to our restaurants, to our customers. And from here, in our system, we can track where the products are. And the most interesting thing is our platform gives us route optimized way, so from which route we should send the products for optimum delivery. And our customers can place their orders through our Fashel retailer app. There they can get real-time price data, where the market price is very volatile. They get the fixed price data in every minute. And from there, they can manage their order, they can make the payment, and they can also see how much they're saving by purchasing from Fossil platform. Yeah, and our platform reduced food wastages from 30% to only 4%. And because of the reliable supply chain, and because our farmers know that their products are gonna be sold, they are non-reliable on the pesticides and non-hygienic thing, and they are mostly on growing superior quality foods. There are 16.8 million farming households in our country, and agriculture contributes 11.5% of the country's GDP and is growing 6% year on year for the last 10 years. The crop and horticulture market is $22 billion. And sadly, in our country, Bangladeshi consumers consumes 300 grams of fresh fruits and vegetables, whereas by FAO and WHO, the recommended amount is 400 grams. So let me talk about a little bit about the market. So we can see there are traditional wholesale markets who are doing unorganized transactions between the farmer and the customers. There are unorganized distributors who are doing fragmented sales. It's not in under one platform. And then there are other agricultural startups who are providing partial solution to the whole agriculture value chain. Whereas Fossil, we are solely focused on the supply chain, and we cater both farming on the supplier side demand and also on the customer side demand as well. So meet the founders. I am Sakib. I'm the founder and CEO of Fossil. I started my career in 2012 when I was 12 years old by building an e-commerce company called Gadgeto. There, I have generated $5,000 monthly revenue within 6 months. And then in 2015, I have founded another company called Print Valley. There, we made corporate gifts and served many corporate clients. I have actually achieved annual sales of $50,000 over there. And then in 2017, I joined another company called Aladdin Kids. And I looked after the operation and marketing over there. Later, it became one of the biggest, largest, biggest marketplace in Bangladesh. And with the experience of e-commerce, technology, and love for science as well, I founded Fossil in 2019 out of COVID with my other two co-founders. Meet my other co-founder, Numair. He's over there doing the slides. He was previously at Roche. He has worked in Europe, Middle Eastern, and African markets. Recently he has worked in 22 African markets, and he managed over $200 million annual sales over there. He also got the chance to work on the supply chain over there, and he raised OT performance of 98%. And just within 3 years, he also raised operating profit margin by 5% over at Roche. Meet my another co-founder, Mamun. He has 14 plus years of experience in sales and distribution. He was in British American Tobacco. He was in Bikash, which is now an unicorn startup in our country, where he has served 22,000 customers with 130 agents. He was also another MFS company called SureCash, where he has onboarded 200 plus institutions, and he also led a project which was later backed by the government, and over there he onboarded around 70,000 customers. Since 2020, we have onboarded 10,000 farmers into our platform, and we are supplying the producers over to around 2,000 plus customers. And in the past 6 months, we have distributed 12 million units of fresh fruits and vegetables directly from the farmers. And in the past 12 months, we have generated $14 million of GMV. And just in this September, we have generated $1.2 million GMV with a 15% gross margin. And most interestingly, just 12 months ago, our take rate or gross margin was around 5%, which because of some strategic moves and some pivoting, we have increased it to 12% average right now.
For any of our latecomers in the room, please feel free to scan the QR code so that you can catch up on some of the startups who were here before, as well as follow on with the startups that are coming after. And with that, I think we can get ready for our next startup. So, next startup for Orbit 5 Demo Day, please help me welcome my Alice.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. Meet Fatima. She's from Dubai. She's the founder of an online flower shop in Middle East. She has majority of her products listed in Shopify, but she also sells her products through WhatsApp, Instagram, and Messenger. Chat is her main touch points with her customers. Buried in these chats are sales opportunity, but her team majority of the time misses that because those are also mixed with support requests,
collaboration requests, and lots of spams. Even when they can identify a sales opportunity, they normally have to copy and paste the product information and the payment information by hand. When Fatima wants to retarget these customers, she cannot run very personalized marketing campaigns because her marketing softwares and her chat data does not integrate with each other. Also, none of our platforms comes with Arabic integrations. Fatima is losing out on sales opportunities. She is losing out on promoting to her existing customers as well. She is unable to increase the customer engagement due to this, and her customer retention stays low. To solve these problems for merchants like Fatima, we built MyAlice. MyAlice is a social commerce and messaging platform that connects all of the channels together so that Fatima can run their sales, support, and marketing from one single window. It helps to transform channels like WhatsApp, Instagram, Messenger to a powerful sales channel offering chat to checkout functionality. Also, it comes with native Arabic language functionality as well. Here is how it works. Fatima connects with MyAlice and integrates with our payment and other channels, e-commerces as well. Once done, she can design AI-based or flow-based automation that can convert inbounds to sales. If there is any options for customers to view the products or get into more details, customer can rightly do it from their favorite messaging apps. They can pay from there. When it comes to complex orders, it can pass to their team who can complete the orders by themselves as well. Eventually, with the e-commerce data and the chat data together, Fatima can run now very segmented and personalized marketing campaign. We offer our product as a SaaS solution with different pricing depending on the feature you need. On top of that, whenever merchants make any sort of marketing campaign, we get 15% from the WhatsApp pricing as well. Right now, we are focusing on the Middle East market, which is a 3.1 billion market subscription market opportunity for us. Also, Middle East is growing almost 30% year over year in terms of e-commerce, which makes us a good opportunity to enter the market right now. Eventually, we want to expand into the global market, which has a global opportunity of $125 billion for us. In terms of competitions, due to the other competitions, we integrate all the channels together, helping merchants like Fatima to have one single window to operate every sales, support, and marketing operations, and helping her team to become a sales powerhouse through our platform as well. Also, we integrate with Arabic natively, which is spoken by more than 422 million people over 25 countries. I'm Shuvo, founder of MyAlice. Before MyAlice, at the beginning of my career, I worked as a machine learning engineer in a health tech company backed by Google. After that, I built 2 companies by myself. One was a software agency that I scaled up to more than 100 engineers, and another one is an agritech company that I exited from. While I bring the product and engineering experience, my co-founder Daniel brings the sales and commercial expertise. Before joining MyAlice, he was the COO of Forbes in Middle East, where he expanded Forbes into 9 countries in Middle East, doubling its revenue. And before that, he was in EY as well. So together, both of us has the sales and the commercial expertise that helps us to expand into the Middle East region. Right now, we have 130 paid customers with more than 18,000 monthly recurring revenue. But most importantly, in the last 1 year, we have seen 98% logo retention into our platform as well. We have secured the regional pivotal partnership that helps us to grow into the next step very fast as well, with companies like Alchemative, Infocom, where we can get into their partnership and their customer base quickly.
Okay, thank you so much, MyAlice. Again, for those in the room who may have joined us late, please scan the QR code to catch up on the startups that have come before, as well as those that are to come. And speaking of those that are about to come, I'd like to introduce our next startup for Orbit 5 Demo Day. Please put your hands together and help me welcome Pixis.
Hey guys, I know you've been meeting Alice, Abdul, Aisha from all over the world. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to introduce you someone from not far, China. So meet this Li. Li grew up in rural China. And like many of his peers, he started out in international trade. We call it 外贸 in Chinese. So because the international trade is very, very competitive in China, 3 years ago, Li started to explore new markets. He started to trade to Nigeria, Africa. It turned out to be a great success. Li had a lot of orders, so he's super happy. However, his business margin is very low, so every cost adds up. His biggest issue is to receive money from Africa. So sometimes his Nigeria customers send him payments from major Nigerian banks, which is not only expensive, but also very, very slow. Sometimes transactions take weeks to complete. And this is a big problem to Li, because without money and also uncertainty on his working capital, he cannot manage his supply chain. So while he waits, his revenue drops, his profit drops. And moreover, a lot of time, his customers in Nigeria tend to send him payments through informal channels. And I lived 10 years in Africa. I'm still based in Africa. I tell you, informal channels sometimes are the mainstream, not the banks. So when he get these payments from informal channels, what happens? His transactions get flagged by the China government. And then what happens? His China bank account got frozen. That's a big problem. Now he don't have access to his funds in China, and also he has to personally report to the police and explain why he's engaged in some kind of campaign, so which he has no idea of. So some of these instances made Li almost gone out of business. It's a serious issue. So Li constantly worries, should I continue this business or not? Because all this challenge is just not making sense. This is not sustainable, though the trade is there. So that's where we come in. We are Pixis. We make Africa and Asia cross-border trade payment simple and reliable. Let me show you how it works. So merchants like Li can get onto our platform and register with their mobile and email address. So they will upload their KYC documents as usual, and then we will review and approve the account within 1 business day. So after that, Li will have access to a global account that held with Pixis. With that, Li is able to access local bank account service in Africa, in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Tanzania. So with that, his clients is able to pay him in local payment method, which is not only cheap, but also just take a few seconds, maximum a few hours to settle. So now in Li's account, he can see my transactions are coming in, I've got this money, he can go and initiate a new transfer. Here, he can easily convert his Nairas in his account into US dollars to pay out. And also, he has the option to pay out directly in CNY because he's in China, his supplier is also in China. So we provide this template for Li to declare his trade to be in compliant with the Chinese regulators. So now with this, Li is able to transact faster with less risk. And we Pixis, we charge around 0.5% to 2% of the transaction from FX rates and transaction fees. So this market is huge. There's a lot of trade going on between Africa and Asia. A lot of people don't know, but it's happening, it's booming. Africa-Asia trade is around $700 billion a year. And out of that, $500 billion goes to China and Africa. What does that mean? That is 70% of the China-US trade. And also 8 times of the whole intra-Africa trade. So it's an existing huge market that is ongoing. Imagine if we just get 3% of this market, our annual transaction volume will be $15 billion. So in Pixis, we are well positioned in this game. International big players that are facilitating China and global trade are not yet in Africa. There's a lot of at least perceived risk and uncertainties, right? And also the international banks, institutions in Africa takes a long time to process the transaction. We Pixis, we make it happen in merely days, significantly benefiting the merchants' working capital and reduced risk. Here is our team. That's why we make it happen. First is me, April Long. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pixis. So as I said, I stayed almost 10 years now in Africa on the ground. So I worked as the business development team for Standard Chartered Bank, dedicated on the Africa-Asia corridor business based in Kenya. So, and not only in Standard Chartered Bank, I worked in other financial institutions as well in Africa. And I successfully integrated big Asia fintech names like Tencent, Pingpong with African payment institutions. I've also managed transactions more than $10 million in annual profits. So trust me, I know the trade secrets inside out. And then my co-founder, George Chen, sits over there. He is an expert in trade in Africa. So George has 15 years in Africa on the ground, working for tech companies, building trade systems. He has at least implemented 5 national trade systems in Africa. So from there, he has got robust relationship with African states and trade regulators. So this is George. So here in our team, we have a knowledge and experience that is across Africa and Asia, and also the domain, the payment and trade industry. That's why we can make it happen. So now we have a pipeline of more than $200 million annual recurring transaction. And also we've secured partnerships with big names, WeChat Pay, China UnionPay, Alipay, and also many others. So, and also in our pilot stage, we're still in the early stage. In our pilot stage transactions, we achieve 30% month-on-month growth. And last month, we hit a transaction volume of more than $6 million. That presents an annualized transaction volume of $72 million.
Thank you so much, Pixis. Now we are come to our final startup for Orbit 5 Demo Day. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the stage Ifinti.
Meet Jose. He's 35 years old, and he represents the spirit of Latin American entrepreneurship. Just a year ago, he used his hard-earned savings to start his own engineering company. With a small team of skilled engineers, he successfully completed a number of small projects in the first year. He got a few projects and was able to hire a small team. But then, Jose landed his biggest deal 3 times his usual project size, bridge construction project with a contract value of $100K. But Jose didn't have the $30K he needed for materials and manpower to start the project. So first, he applied to a traditional bank loan. But the bank required at least 3 years of financial records, a minimum of $500K in yearly revenue, plus personal guarantees like an apartment or a house as collateral. Banks in Latin America have limited capital to deploy, so they are very risk-averse when it comes to SMEs and require a lot of verification before they will lend to them. Even though Jose had assigned the project, the bank still didn't want to lend to him without the additional guarantees. So Jose tried to borrow the money from the small lenders, but their interest rates were really high, more than 70% per year, which means he will lose money on the contract. In the end, Jose couldn't get the loan he needed. He couldn't commit to the big project and grow his company. There are more than 18 million SMEs like Jose's companies in Latin America facing the lack of access to financing from traditional lenders. So we created fintech. We are a fintech solution for SMEs. We provide easy access to affordable insurance-backed loans without complex requirements or personal guarantees. We help SMEs access capital through global crypto investors who are looking for less volatile assets to earn yields. With an AI scoring system, we revolutionize SMEs credit evaluation by leveraging diverse data points and predictive analytics, ensuring rapid, accurate, and comprehensive loan risk assessment. Let me show you how it works. First, SMEs go to fintech.com and get onboarded with a few basic documents and complete the KYC process. Then, our AI scoring system calculates the risk level of the SMEs based on the company size, financial, and public track records. The risk level, low, medium, or high, is used to determine the interest rate and the insurance value. To access the capital, the SME registered their customers and suppliers on our system. And then they can upload any outstanding electronic invoices. And just within 48 hours, we can help the SMEs pay their invoices or wire money into the SME's bank account. Meanwhile, global crypto investors place their stablecoins in the liquidity pool and earn an average of 15% in annual yields. Depositors are confident about the risk level of their investments because all of our loans are insured. So we make money from the difference in the interest rate between the SME loan and the crypto investor yield, 12% per year on average. So there are more than 29 million SMEs in Latin America, and 61% can get access to loans. That means that the fintech lending market in Latin America is a 23 billion market. And this number is expected to grow 9.5% per year. And for crypto investors, 32 billion worth of stable coins are deployed to generate conservative yields. While many players in the financial space, like banks and other fintechs, target large corporations or specific sectors, a fintech is all about SMEs. By using innovative funding methods like stablecoin, we are not confined by traditional institutional barriers, and we can tap into global capital sources. We are three co-founders. I'm Andres Tobon, the CEO, who has worked at Corsoft scaling this technology company to 3 countries in only 2 years. Alejandra Gaviria is our COO, who has worked at Bancolombia, one of the largest banks in Latin America, for more than 7 years, and she went from sales to managing more than 30 branch managers in just 2. And Peter Pinedo, our CTO, who has worked as development project manager at Corsoft from the beginning, leading a team of 15 engineers and managing more than 5 different projects at the same time. In the last month, we disbursed more than 9 million in loans with a 43% monthly growth rate, of which more than 97% have already been recovered, and the other 3% are insured. Each month, we help more than 280 SMEs access financing, and these loans are funded by more than 2,000 active global crypto investors through our licensed crypto investment platform that currently have more than 10 million in assets under management. And in the past quarter, these crypto investments have helped us to triple the amount of capital available for lending.